All right, guys, today is January the 31st. I'm hitting you out with some House of Biceps Instagram questions. I've already answered these from the first round today, but sometimes it's much better to go ahead and explain out an answer rather than just to type something up on an Insta page. There's only so many things that can be written out on an Instagram little screen like that with one little photo. So I always want to use the opportunity to go back and kind of explain what's going on a little bit better. So let's go as far as I've gotten here. How many reps do you do on reverse hypers per week? Average 700 per week. When I wrote this last night, I'd done 150, did another 100, 120 or so before I went to bed. So I really try, some nights I only get 60. I will go out and do a couple of rounds. I'll do 10 reps with both legs, followed by 10 reps right leg, 10 reps left leg. So that's 30. I'll rest a couple of minutes. I'll repeat that. That gives me 60. And if I'm really, really busy and I feel good, that gives me enough just to open my back up, get some blood in the hamstrings and the hips, and I feel better. So, I try to average 100 reps per night throughout the week. Interested in Strongman, but there's nothing like Strongman anywhere near this person. I was like that when I began training. I went straight out and I took a pair of easy curl bars and made farmer's walk handles out of them. I found a tire that I hauled home, a couple of them, and used for flipping. I picked up kegs that I had some that were empty, some we filled with water and sand. We took pieces of wood and made Husafell stones. I had some wooden farmer's walk handles. Made everything. The thing is now, we didn't have companies like Cerberus back then. I should have dove straight into sandbags. It took me a year or so to get Atlas stones. I probably should have went first immediately and picked up a couple of sandbags because there's so much that you can do with a sandbag. They do mimic an Atlas stone with less weight and safer on the biceps. You can get a tacky towel. I've got one behind me. And it makes it even better in the summertime when you're sweaty. Clean and press, carries, floor presses, shoulders. You can throw them at your, training partners, whatever. There's endless uses with the Cerberus. And yes, get the Cerberus strength bags. Not only are they great quality, but their customer service is second to none, which is hugely important when it comes to sandbags. Can equipoise be injected once per month, and what might be an adequate dose? I just only answered part of this. You can, but it won't be nearly as effective or as efficient doing it once a month. I know it has a long half-life, but I don't think that term half-life means everything that it doesn't. Half-life and effectiveness and effective life is not the same thing. So I know I've made it known that I made my best strength progress. I've lifted my biggest weights when I took 300 milligrams of equipoise every 21 days. And I did the same thing with, I guess it would have been 375 of Sustanon every 21 days. And both of those together is when I deadlifted 821, when I box squatted 957, and I benched 462. So that's what I was doing at that time, and it worked out really, really well. For me, when the doses start going up on any of those, appetite will increase short term, then my appetite will completely fall off, and then my strength falls off with it. So super small doses or long spreads works well for me, keeping me feeling good. And every time that your hormone levels go up and down and start fluctuating, I think that's when you're going to start seeing the negative side effects that typically come with cholesterol, heart disease, anything that fluctuates rapidly. You want to try to maintain that up and down. The immune system goes crazy anytime you make any big jumps up or down. And I think that's where a lot of, let's say, orals or tablets can play with your immune system and get you sick pretty rapidly one way or the other. You start taking them, you feel sick. You stop taking them, you feel sick. Flu-like symptoms. How many people you see finish a meet and they're sick as a dog the week after? First of all, you're touching a bar that everybody else has touched. Hundreds of people have touched. So you're bound to get sick. You traveled there, car, bus, plane, monkey, whatever. you're bound to get sick. And then hormones, stress hormones go up and down. You know, if you're on anabolics, your anabolics go up and down. You stop the day after the meet, everything crashes, and your immune system goes nutty, and the next thing you know, you're sick. So, to answer the rest of your question, what would be an adequate dose? That's up to you. You know, people used to make really great progress on 150 milligrams a week. That's mostly because it was a 50 milligram per milliliter thing. So people would take, I mean, even here, people would get it and take 50 milligrams because it came in a 50 milligram amp. That was when I first moved here. So I think a lot of the literature, and by literature I mean like notes that I have hidden at home that I've picked up from people across the years, would suggest anywhere between about 1.5 milligram per pound of lean body weight. So if you take someone that is 300 pounds and fairly lean, they can go somewhere up to around 450 milligrams of equipoise a week. So you can take that any way you want to. I said up to. Those are just thoughts. Just thoughts. TRT test plus Prima-bolan 600 milligrams equals any good? It should be. I mean, you have to make that call for yourself. I like Primo. It's really, really expensive. Even from the pharmacy, it's between, let me see, in dollars, $4.50 and $5 per 100 milligrams. And that's from the pharmacy. And notoriously, all pharmacies in this area are extremely cheap compared to everything in America or in a lot of other countries. But, you know, as far as health goes, Primo is something that just keeps me healthy. It keeps my immune system steady. I would say that, how to say this and sound the best, I would say that it helps keep my T cells at a constant, higher than average level. But most of the time when I was running Primo, I was also taking very low dose of HGH as well, which would also keep my T cells at a decent level fighting off infection. But I think Primo is absolutely wonderful. Very little side effects, except it really thins the wallet fast. Do I like plyometrics for speed work? If by plyometrics you mean squat, bench press, and deadlift, then yes. I don't see a point in doing what most people consider plyometrics, jumping and explosive push-ups and things like that, being speed work. For it to be speed work, it has to be something that challenges you after several sets to continue being fast. So you watch someone, you know, a couple of weeks ago we did bench press in here, 9 sets. The whole idea was if you keep the bands on the bar, so the bands on the bar challenge you that you have to be explosive and you have to be fast, and you keep going with a very high training density, very little rest, lots of sets, and you keep going to the point in which your body starts to slow down and you have to force even harder to be fast. So you have to be doing something that promotes your body into accelerating faster in that plane of motion. And I don't see plyometrics doing that. There's nothing holding you and keeping you from being fast or explosive, except just your body weight. That's my thoughts. But I've asked clients to do plyometrics during their warm-ups. Absolutely. Ask them to do plyometrics during their warm-ups. A 3-inch box jump repeated, 5-inch box jump repeated, medicine ball throws, like a flat bench or an incline bench. I do think that helps prime the body for doing actual speed work. Why did denim bench shirts go out of fashion? They seem like the canvas squat suit of bench. Denim needs to be brought back. I've said this several times. Denim, I think people who wear denim should be in their own class. I think you've got a bunch of other classic, and make it classic multiply. You know, everybody's gonna know what classic multiply is. It's a denim shirt with a bunch of patches. Everyone who's been around for a while is gonna know exactly what classic multiply is. Bring back denim. Do I have an all-time favorite person that I've coached? Easy question to answer. Yes, I actually do. I hate to say that, but I actually do. And I've written this down, so I don't want to mess it up. Kept his name hidden. Police officer, he was attacked in the line of duty. He was nearly beaten to death. And I remember taking him on as a client, and his goal coming back was to bench press 225 pounds, 2 plates aside. And the day that he benched it, I remember seeing the video, and when he came off the bench, he couldn't even scream because tears were coming down his eyes, and his throat had already closed up. And I don't know who cried harder, him or me. I still love that guy, and it wasn't long that I encouraged him to stop paying me to be his coach and to go train with a crew that was in his area. I felt he could get a lot farther over the long term training with a crew than he's ever going to get with an online coach. I still follow that guy like crazy. Still follow him like crazy. What is the best steak to eat to gain muscle mass with? The one that you can eat consistently long term will be the one that works best for you. So you can look at something like a ribeye, and the ribeye is going to have the most calories. So you can say, well, the most calories are going to give me, the most calories for my dollar, euro, pound, whatever, and the calories are going to help me gain weight. Or you can say, hey, I want a flank steak or a skirt steak, something like that. That's very, very lean, very low fat, very low cholesterol, like lower than chicken breast, and cheaper than a ribeye. So for less money, I'm going to get more protein and less fat, and maybe that's the way to go for you. I pick up a variety because I know that the key for me is consistency. I need to stick with a certain amount of meat over 6 months, every single day for 6 months. So I've got to find a variety of beef and meat that tastes good to me so that I can stay consistent with it. So the consistency of eating it every single day is much more important than having a few meals per day over the next 4 weeks and thinking that you're really going to gain some mass. So think long term, figure out some great ways to prepare different kinds of beef and different kinds of meat so that you can be, if it doesn't taste good, you're not going to stick with it very long. Never loaded stones before. What's the most important thing to know? Most people make the mistake and never get off the ground. So from the ground, hands and feet, dead center of the stone. Most people put their feet behind the stone and they've got their hands in the center of the stone or even way out in front of the stone. Your hands should be roughly in the center of your shoes. So you've got to step up on the stone, feet in the middle of the stone, so the stone is in the center of your body. Hands directly in the center of your shoes. You've got to grip it in a straight line. You can't grip it hands forward and elbows back. Most people want to grip it hands forward and elbows back. And as soon as you go to pick it up, it rolls forward out of your hands. So it's a stiff-legged arms straight, stiff-legged deadlift until it gets to your knees. Roll it back into your knees. From there, 10 and 2 or 10 and 2, however you're looking at it right now. And then after that, just have a whole lot of fun and let it hurt. Practice, but don't forget hand position, foot position, stiff-legged up, 10 and 2, and it's going to hurt. Accept it. Missing the bench off the chest, what to do? You probably just need to run your program again. If you're missing off your chest, it could be set up and leg drive. Set up and leg drive could allow you to get more weight off your chest if your setup and leg drive is just really bad. If your setup and leg drive is halfway decent, then you just need to get stronger. And that there's a point for all of us where we just take it down to our chest and it's just, it doesn't go anywhere. You just got to get stronger. Run your program, repeat your program over and over. Focus on maybe some incline close grips, a little more shoulders in there, a little more triceps in there. If you are benching raw, which you probably are if you're missing off your chest, and you're benching with the long bands, switch from the long bands to the short bands. The short bands are going to be a less contrast, meaning it doesn't go from very little band tension to a lot of band tension like the long bands do. It's going to go from a little band tension to a little more band tension, or medium to heavy instead of light to heavy. It's going to be more natural to your actual press motion. It's going to give you a little more pressure on the bottom or a little less pressure at the top, depending on how you adjust the band tension and how you adjust the weight on the bar. That's the general guideline. Would I ever compete in raw powerlifting and show us all how not strong I really am? Sure, why not? I never claimed to be strong anyway. That's what it says here. I never claimed to be strong anyway. I think raw powerlifting is fine. I go through different periods, every 3 or 4 years where I focus on my raw work specifically. Squat, bench, deadlift. I mean, today I did 3 singles and a shirt, and everything else was raw. I don't know how I'm really a geared lifter. I train in briefs and a suit straps down. I deadlift in a suit, absolutely. I'm doing that right now to protect my hips and my back. If I didn't need to do that, then I would be doing a lot more raw work, or as close to raw as possible. So, yeah, I've thought about it before. I don't see why not. I don't really care to prove that I'm stronger than you, or for you to prove that you're stronger than me. I think that's fine. If you feel better because you're stronger than me, then that's fine. It really doesn't bother me at all. Clearly it bothers you. Clearly it bothers you. So if it would make you feel better just to be able to say that you're stronger than me, I'll say it. You're stronger than me. I'm not disagreeing with you. I want to be more flexible. Any suggestions except stretching? I know who this is, so I will explain this. I don't think stretching is a key anyway. Whatever range of motion you want your body to move in, you must do it many times per day. Never force a stretch. Move through a relaxed movement. When I was working on shoulder flexibility, I took one of my axles home with me, and I had a barbell at home as well, and I just did Bradford press. Press from in front to the bar, barely goes over your head, press in the back and forth. And I would do like 2 sets of 20, 4 or 5 times a day. And that was much more productive than, me when I was trying to be a weightlifter, and everybody, when I would go to train once a day, would force my joints into these positions. And, when you're forcing your joints into positions or forcibly stretching, when you're stretching in any way possible and you're really tight and it hurts, you're damaging your body. There were people that forced me into stretches that damaged my joints. And the first time I trained with the 2 Olympians that I trained with, they both said, stop doing that immediately. If you're not moving through a normal range of motion, whatever that is, then you are damaging your joints. You're damaging your tendons and your ligaments. So just give yourself time, focus on, a full squat with the empty bar. With 1 plate per side, and spend some time at the bottom just sitting there and moving your stance around a little bit. Just get a bar on your back and take your overhead press position and just sit there and relax and move your shoulders, and do stuff multiple times per day. You can get a band, you can get a broomstick, a piece of PVC pipe, and just move it all over the place. I'm working with the shoulder right now, and it's about movement. And that's what you need to do. Move as much as possible. And if you need a little bit of weight, make sure you're doing it in a proper way and make sure that it resembles one of your normal lifts that you're doing in the gym. And if you have problems with that, yell at me. We'll fix it. How often am I increasing my calories? Is it just when weight sticks for a period of time? Or each week? The thing is, I weigh myself 1 to 3 times a day. That's the truth. I've got a scale, and I wake up, get on the scale. I will weigh myself usually early in the evenings and then before bed. So I know roughly what I want to weigh. I got on the scale the other night at, I'm consistently weighing 130 to 131. I can go a little above that. But I know that I want to be above 130 kilos at all times. So I will make sure that I'm always drinking fluids. I'm always eating whatever it takes to stay above 130, keeping the fluids and everything in me. So as long as my body is staying where I want it to weight-wise, it is eventually going to, go up. And I know being on the scale is, you're like, oh, that's not really what that's what you've got in your stomach. Well, your stomach should never be empty if you're trying to gain weight. It should never be empty if you're trying to gain weight. So if you get on the scale and you are a half pound below your goal, take the scale to the kitchen with you, put it in front of the refrigerator, and start downing milk and drinks and cheese and peanut butter, everything that's in there that's heavy, while standing on the scale until you weigh what you want to weigh. Get there. And consistently doing that, consistently forcing yourself to be the weight that you want to be, your body will adapt and adjust, and it will be that weight and more. Promise. How hard is it to transition from powerlifting to strongman? It's only rock and roll, man. Everybody's going to be different. And in either sport, being at the top, your life is going to suck. So, it depends on you. You could be a really athletic powerlifter, and the transition could be easy. You could be a really unathletic powerlifter, and the transition is going to be really, really hard. Getting used to pressing something overhead, doing everything when there's no balance there, because when I box squat, I've got my feet nice and wide, and they lock my entire body in. I use my hands to lock down on the bar, my feet wide, my hands and arms, lats locked down on the bar. So for me, it's like leaning against a wall. The bench press, I'm getting locked in so tight with my arms, lats, my arch, my feet on the ground, everything. That bench is like I'm part of the bench, like I'm bolted to the bench. And the deadlift is somewhat the same way. But I think that's where the strongmen tend to shine, is on that deadlift. And they can have really ugly deadlifts and still lift tremendous weights. But it depends on how you can move, how fast you are, how athletically inclined you are, and how much you enjoy totally destroying your body. What is my opinion on DECA? What's the best dosage for beginner while taking test? If you are a beginner, then you shouldn't be taking test or DECA. If you're saying you're a beginner to DECA, whatever 1 ml is, 200, 250, 300, whatever that is. I mentioned before that, the standard with something like with DECA and equipoise, and even with test, is somewhere around 1 milligram of compound per pound of body mass. So again, if you're 300 pounds, somewhere between 300 and 450 milligrams per week is a general rough, max safe rule. General guide, you're not going to screw yourself up with that kind of dose. Also mentioned that I was the Kentucky State Treasurer and then President of the Kentucky Association of Marketing Students, known as DECA, in high school. DIY sandbags, heavy ones. Would you recommend any of particular material? Cerberus material. That's what I suggest. They don't break. I've broken, before I had my Cerberus bags, I brought several, like 5 different sandbags out here. Broke every single one of them either on the first day or within the first week, and was almost injured every single time. Cerberus bags, they don't break. And if you ever have a problem with them, customer service is absolutely amazing. 24-year-old with a 2175 raw total. Any way to have a normal life and keep progressing from here? Who wants to be normal? Obviously, you have a lot of great gifts. You're either going to use them to the max, and I think that's normal. Or one day God's going to look at you and say, hey, I gave you all these gifts. What'd you do with it? Why did you just throw it away? So, normal is what you make of it. I think I have a very normal life. Compared to everybody else, no, my wife, my wife too, completely not normal. But for me, I think it's completely normal, and I can center and I can balance everything in a great way. Locking out my bench with my shoulders instead of my triceps. Any suggestions? You know what you're doing wrong. You told me that you're locking it out with your shoulders. You got to lock those suckers down. Get them on the bench. Have a training partner, punch you in the face when you screw up. But you have to absolutely 100% keep those shoulder blades back and down the whole time. There's no reason to have an extra lockout. When the bar stops moving, rack it. You don't have to do that. Absolutely do not. Shortest range of motion possible usually wins the race. How should I submit hilarious sponsors? Just send them my way, man. I'll put them up there. Secrets to having a lasting marriage. Well, this kind of sums it up. We'll see. Nah, you're not going to see that. Picture of me and my wife right there. Let's see. Can we zoom in? No, not going to. Not going to make it. Not going to make it. But that's us laughing and having fun. That's how we make it for 17 years. Secret to the duck fat. Well, other fats work. No, duck fat itself has special properties, like in some kind of antioxidant, some kind of thermal coupling, something that I don't understand. But no, like goose fat and stuff like it's totally different. And it tastes freaking good. It tastes really good. Ice or heat for arthritis and back pain. I use ice when I don't want to move. If I'm just going to be completely stationary and still, I will put ice on my back, keep it wrapped up until it numbs the pain away. But if I want to move, if I have to move, if I've got to go to the mall or the grocery store or pick up the kids, or I want to train, or I want to do something therapeutic to make it better, I've got to have heat on it. Do I believe that I will qualify to make the top 20 and qualify for the World's Strongest Man Masters 2020? If we look at the top 10 from last year are pre-qualified, there will be somewhere between 3 and 5 others that will qualify throughout the year from doing other shows. So that gives us around 15. They only want 30 athletes. Do I think I'm going to make top 15 out of the qualifying however many are going to sign up? When I look at it that way, the numbers are really freaking slim. The chances are really freaking slim. Honestly, probably no. If I'm looking at the numbers, no. But I'm going to try. I need a good tasting meat, but I need to avoid high fat and high cholesterol. What can I do? Flank steak, flat iron steak, both of those are about as low fat as you can find. They're almost as low fat as chicken breast, and they have less cholesterol than chicken breast. Why are box squats so humbling? I don't know. What's humbling about them? Best thing to drink for hydration? I drink coconut water all the time. Got all the potassium in there. And then I got a new supplement by Affinity Fitness. I want to call it Hydrate, but it's called Hydration Formula. Tastes really good, and I swear there's something about it that works better than the normal electrolyte drinks that I'm picking up from the store. Are there any sports that I'd like to compete in? I would love to have 1 year where I could compete in strongman, powerlifting, weightlifting, and sport karate. I don't know if anyone's body could do that. But even if I could just do 2 in a year sometime, or 3 or 4 over a 2-year period, that would be huge. That would be huge. What else? That's it. Those are the questions that I've got and that I've answered. Got a lot more questions to answer tonight. More questions tomorrow. So hope you guys enjoyed these. See you on the Instagram.